South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Hi there and welcome to Headliners. I'm Lauren Pastrana. A Tamarac neighborhood struck with tragedy. A man is accused of killing his wife, his father-in-law, and a neighbor. He's charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and violating a domestic violence protection order. The killings have left a domestic violence survivor worried about the impact all across South Florida. CBS News Miami's Larry Seward shares her message.
I need to do more.
Dr. Jonette Brooks-George is part advocate, part activist, leading an anti-violence support group reeling from tragedy in Tamarac. There, a man in the middle of a contentious divorce is accused of killing his wife, her father, and Andrew Farron, a neighbor who opened his door to help the woman as police say her husband opened fire.
The pit of my stomach became nauseous because I looked at it, and for me, initially it was, I still feel it.
It took 7 years of planning for Brooks-George to escape her abuser and keep her children safe. Helping others is her mission. Through her organization, Unmute Yourself, she runs seminars showing survivors where to find help, while encouraging others to be more than bystanders. The city of Lauderhill hired her to calm one of the most frequent crime calls police answer. Brooks-George tracks domestic violence across the country, too.
There's an uptick. The first week of the year, I think there were 29 cases across our nation. And it wasn't just domestic violence and they got arrested. Domestic violence homicides.
So she feels it's more important than ever for people to step up and help. Doing so cost this neighbor his life, and Brooks-George knows that will discourage some. So she is speaking up, hoping her voice, her story, and her mission convince someone that it's worth trying.
We're all worried about our own well-being and our own safety, right? Because we have children, we have other loved ones. But if you're so lucky to be the person that someone says, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, it's not your job to chastise them. It's not your job to tell them what to do or critique them. It's your job to ask them how you can help.
Florida has a 24-hour domestic violence hotline available if you or anyone you know needs help. That number is 1-800-500-1119. But for any life-threatening emergency, advocates say always call 911 first. In Tamarac, Larry Seward, CBS News, Miami.
The Trump administration's decision to end temporary protected status for Venezuelans is now facing a legal challenge in court. A lawsuit was filed in California on behalf of roughly 600,000 Venezuelans under TPS. Half of them could face deportation as soon as April. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor has reaction and more information.
I feel hopeful.
Daniela Basanini is a Venezuelan with TPS who lives in South Florida. She sees as a ray of hope from a lawsuit filed in a federal court in San Francisco, California on Wednesday. Thursday, Venezuelan immigrants gathered for a small press conference in California to address details of the legal action filed against Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
People of this country want these dirtbags out.
Noem did not grant an extension of TPS to Venezuelans who filed their request in 2023. Over 300,000 would be on a limbo as of April 2nd.
What the secretary said pretty much named all of Venezuelans as part of a criminal organization, which is Tren de Aragua. That's completely not true.
On the second page of the lawsuit, the National TPS Alliance says the secretary's decisions also were motivated, at least in part, by racial animus, in contravention with the Fifth Amendment. That is clear from the statement the Homeland Security Secretary made when announcing the decisions themselves, labeling Venezuelan TPS holders as dirtbags, an expression of racism made by official decision maker as part of her explanation for the decision.
You can't just put 600,000 people as criminals because of one minor group that, of course, they did what they did, but that's not who we are.
Basanini, who works as a legal assistant and is studying to be a lawyer, is one of 250,000 Venezuelans who filed for TPS in 2021. She has deportation protection until September of this year.
Even though I'm not affected by the termination of the April TPS, we're all in this together.
Yvonne Taylor, CBS News, Miami.
And President Trump has also announced the removal of temporary protected status for Haitian migrants. The move could affect more than 500,000 Haitians living here in the U.S., many of them right here in South Florida. Earlier this week, a Delta Airlines plane crashed and flipped over on a runway in Toronto. This marks the latest in a string of incidents involving aircraft, with many turning deadly. CBS News Miami's Elliot Rodriguez gives us a closer look at safety in the skies.
The crash landing of a Delta Airlines flight at Toronto's airport Monday has put airline safety front and center again in 2025. But aviation experts say the numbers still point to the skies being very safe.
Aviation is safe, commercial aviation, safest form of transportation, even as these incidents do, rightfully shake people up a little bit.
In its most recent safety report, the IATA, the trade association of the world's airlines, says that on average, a person would have to travel by air every day for more than 103,000 years to experience a fatal accident, based on the 2023 safety numbers. Experts also say the preparedness of the people around a disaster, like those who responded to Monday's crash, makes a difference.
Everything that could go wrong went wrong, yet still 80 people survived the accident. And what that tells me is just the preparedness and the attention to safety, everything that happened to make sure that these people were safe happened.
That includes airport personnel on the ground and the flight crew on board.
They go through exhaustive scenarios to protect passengers. And I think that you can have the confidence when you step on a plane.
Aviation experts also note safety improvements that make aircraft better able to protect passengers in the event of a crash like the one in Toronto, amid an industry that strives for perfection every time.
We can never rest on our record or our laurels, right? So you take every day as another opportunity to improve, to be better.
Elliot Rodriguez, CBS News, Miami.
When we come back, no more property taxes. See the move Governor Ron DeSantis wants to make in the state and the potential impacts next.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back. I'm Lauren Pastrana. Miami police are trying to protect pedestrians on busy South Florida streets where dozens of people have been hurt, some seriously after getting hit by cars. The police effort is to warn jaywalkers to take the extra steps to use the crosswalks to stay safe. CBS News Miami's Maribel Rodriguez joins us from Miami with a look at just how many people try to take a shortcut that could be deadly.
Police on their loudspeakers and also on foot, warning pedestrians illegally crossing the street about the dangers of jaywalking.
We've seen many pedestrians and cyclists injured, and unfortunately some have lost their lives.
On busy West Flagler Street and 37th Avenue in Miami, every few minutes or so our cameras captured one or two pedestrians doing just that. Jesus Alaya was one of them. Pero estaba cruzando por aquí, you were crossing in the middle of the street. You know that that's very dangerous. ¿Sabe que es muy peligroso?
Yeah, sí.
¿Por qué lo hiciste? Why'd you do it?
Se me hizo más fácil.
Ayala says it was easier for him, although the crosswalk was just a few feet away. According to Miami police, last year, 45 pedestrians were struck in the city and 19 were killed. And as of this year so far, 8 pedestrians have been struck and 2 have died.
Unfortunately, some people are just always in a hurry. Some people want to just get here, get there, and they forget about those things. And those 20 seconds of being impatient can actually, cost somebody their life.
Then, during the middle of our interview, we saw it again.
That gentleman now has to actually speed up a little bit. Maybe if the driver doesn't see him, and that's another thing. Unfortunately, the driver might be texting, might be distracted, might not see that individual crossing the street, strike him, and now, technically, that pedestrian is at fault.
And that's why police are educating pedestrians on the right way to cross the street as they help them safely to the other side.
Well, the message is, you got to do it for yourself. It's for your safety. I mean, we don't want to be the bad guys.
And for some, the message is getting across.
No, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Are you glad next time?
I would pass with the light. Ya lo sé para la próxima.
For next time.
Yeah.
So the more you know, the safer you'll be. Now keep in mind, not only are there rules on the road for drivers, but also for pedestrians. Police say these crosswalks, they're here for a reason. It may take you a few extra steps or maybe a few more minutes, but they will ultimately save your life. In Miami, Maribel Rodriguez, CBS News, Miami.
Property taxes, a thing of the past in Florida. In the near future, Governor Ron DeSantis is signaling support for the idea of getting rid of property taxes in our state. But to actually achieve this will be an uphill battle. Yvonne Taylor joins us once again with reaction from homeowners and explains what the loss of those taxes would mean to local cities and towns.
Made me crazy. Now I can't sleep.
That is how Jessie Chartram feels about paying property taxes in South Florida. Just like many parents, she came to Coral Park Senior High to pick up her son. She shared with us property taxes are a nightmare.
I'm going to sell my house.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis agrees. On a post at X platform, he wrote, property taxes are local, not state, so we need to do a constitutional amendment which requires 60% of voters to approve it and eliminate them, which I would support, or lower them.
Technically speaking, you can do it, but the questions are, what are going to be the repercussions?
Dr. Esteban Santis is a policy analyst at the Florida Policy Institute. He says many people don't know what they're cutting if they eliminate property taxes.
You're cutting school budgets. You're cutting budgets for public parks, libraries, fire, police services.
So if they were to cut property taxes, how would they make up for these funds?
In the Florida legislature, there was this conversation last year about passing a study to eliminate them and replace them with a consumption tax, essentially a sales tax.
Santi says doing grocery shopping would be a nightmare.
Everybody else will be paying more at, when at the cash register if we were to do it.
Realmente no nos vamos a beneficiar.
We are not going to benefit, said Noelio Herrera, a homeowner whose son attends a public school in Miami-Dade.
Si lo eliminan ya, eso tendríamos que asumirlo
if property
nosotros.
tax is eliminated, we would have to pay for all these services ourselves. Knowing that, would you agree on getting rid of property taxes?
Oh, I don't agree.
You don't agree?
No.
So that changes the dynamics of everything.
Yes.
Ivan Taylor, CBS News, Miami.
When we come back, we are celebrating Black History Month and showcasing the stories of resilience and strength here in South Florida. That's next.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back. I'm Lauren Pastrana. CBS News Miami is commemorating Black History Month with stories not often taught in our schools or universities. 2 current CBS Miami employees and 1 former colleague are on a mission with their website, Profiles in Black Miami. In their spare time, they illuminate usually overlooked moments in Black history that have shaped our region. CBS News Miami's Hank Tester reports.
Miami's Black history is rich with untold tales. Finding and telling them is challenging and rewarding.
What we're doing is we're educating the community, we're educating ourselves.
We here at CBS Miami don't have to go far to find people who are deeply involved in Black history, and they're not even on TV. Meet our colleagues behind Profiles in Black Miami. They are CBS Miami employees and 1 former employee. That's Keith Moore, who works in our Technical Operations Center, and Anne-Marie Henry, a floor director, and former Master Control Operator Christine Malcolm. They're the driving force behind the nonprofit Profiles in Black Miami, a website packed with little-known Miami Black history.
We're complete students of history. We're not experts.
Away from work, they research, make contacts, dig up pictures, develop sources, and the information finds its way to multiple social media platforms.
We had no idea. We often wonder, where was this going to go?
But one way it went, production of more than 30 videos, documentaries, all available on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Talks to civic groups encouraged by historians, community leaders.
So I've seen websites actually start to replay some of our things that we've had on our page. Now they're putting it out there.
Unlike now, Black history, Black stories traditionally ignored back in the day. It takes finite research, reading between the lines to dig it all out.
For now, I still have to read every line of all the old newspapers.
Anne-Marie Henry writes and voices the documentaries. She also organizes, along with Keith and Christine, the street naming events.
The feedback on the street namings are amazing.
A series of Miami streets now named for Miami's Black pioneers and those who showed compassion and understanding of the Black community.
And we dug a lot of facts up in order to have these things happen.
Satisfaction for Keith Moore, who learned his history from his grandparents, Bahamian pioneers. They filled him with stories of historic
Coconut Grove.
So it was thousands of stories they told me.
And now Keith, Christine, and Anne-Marie telling those stories to a far larger audience, and they're being heard and seen. Hank Tester, CBS News, Miami.
We continue to shine a spotlight on Black History Month across South Florida in this week's Miami Proud. At Miami-Dade College, women's basketball coach Susan Summons is making history. Summons achieved a milestone in women's sports with 700 wins among active basketball coaches. CBS News Miami's Naja Sherman shows us how she's inspiring the next generation both on and off the court.
You regrouped, you connected, and you went up by 20.
Coach Susan Summons is in her 39th year of coaching the Miami-Dade College women's basketball team. But to her, it's about cultivating the next generation of leaders both on and off the court.
And I've always been focused on creating champions, not just for a minute, not just for an hour, not just for a day, but for a lifetime.
Her players tell us Coach Summons helps them develop confidence, resilience, and a sense of purpose.
So for me, in my eyes, she's more so like a mother figure, like grandmother, mother figure, and because she's always there spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. Like I could call her at 2, 3 in the morning and she'll pick up whatever I need. No matter what the situation is, I feel like she's always understanding.
A former professor, Summons was recognized as one of the top 100 most influential sports educators in America by the Institute for International Sport. Her commitment to education and sports has earned her 7 Hall of Fame honors, underscoring her profound impact, and she tells us she still loves what she does.
And it's passion. It's passion that drives me. It's passion that inspires me.
Coach Summons' influence extends beyond the court, touching lives in the classroom and the community. Her dedication, resilience, and positive impact on young athletes is certainly making Miami proud. Naja Sherman, CBS News Miami.
Thanks for joining us this half hour on Headliners. As always, keep it right here to CBS News Miami for up-to-the-minute breaking news and weather 24 hours a day. Make it a great one.